I mean, he's got huge gauges in his ears, which is not really indicative of anything. But I will say it's not necessarily like a right-wing thing. You know, right-wingers tend to...
Are you fucking me? Is his entire debunk of this going to be on aesthetics? Is he just going to look... Well, I don't know much. I mean, in the background, there's a giant A. I see an A. Okay, that's the anarchist flag behind him. So, I mean, giant rings in his ears. I believe it was Thanos. Thanos from the Marvel universe. Some of you may be familiar with Thanos, who did the Thanos snap, and upon doing that, half of all life in the universe disappeared from existence. Now, I'm not saying that there's a correlation here. I'm just saying he may snap his fingers in this video. If we watch this video, he may snap. At which point, that could be a reference to Thanos. But let's see. Hey everyone, you probably saw the news yesterday that something surprising happened. Some white nationalists, those little scamps, decided to try and kidnap a governor. Now, what normally would be seen as a pretty aggressive act of terrorism, and a coordinated one involving numerous individuals who may or may not have been inspired by people they have seen online on the YouTubes or the internets, is now getting kind of re-explained as some kind of anarchist revolution. It's wild. We live in strange times, wonderful strange times.
Earlier today, Attorney General Dana Nessel was joined by officials from the Department of Justice and the FBI to announce state and federal charges against 13 members of 2 militia groups who were preparing to kidnap and possibly kill me. When I put my hand on the Bible and took the oath of office 22 months ago, I knew this job would be hard. But I'll be honest, I never could have imagined anything like this. Just last week, the President of the United States stood...
So I'm going to assume, and I don't want to steel man him, but we're going to watch Tim Pool's explanation of the entire event. Maybe Tim Pool's going to talk about how they were ANCAPs, and because it has the word anarchist in it, he thinks they're somehow the same thing. Here's a sneak preview. ANCAPs are not anarchists. They're not anything. They're not real people. They're cartoon characters, and we should treat them as such.
Before the American people, and refused to condemn white supremacists and hate groups like these 2 Michigan militia groups. Stand back and stand by, he told them. Stand back and stand by. Hate groups heard the president's words not as a rebuke, but as a rallying cry, as a call to action. When our leaders speak, their words matter. They carry weight. When our leaders meet with, encourage, or fraternize with domestic terrorists, they legitimize their actions. Hatred, bigotry, and violence have no place in the great state of Michigan. If you break the law or conspire to commit heinous acts of violence against anyone, we will find you, we will hold you accountable, and we will bring you to justice.
But bring who to justice is the big question, because we don't know what they believe. The Michigan governor says Trump is encouraging men like her would-be kidnappers. Trump calls her ungrateful. You're ungrateful. All right. Why aren't you more gracious? Stand by and stand down. Hours after federal authorities charged 6 people with attempting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, she held a press conference and linked the plot to U.S. President Donald Trump's non-committal response to a call to condemn extremist groups such as the Proud Boys. One head of state has spent the past 7 months denying science, ignoring his own health experts, stoking distrust, fermenting anger, ooh, sweet fermented anger, delicious, and giving comfort to those who spread fear and hatred and division. Last week, she said, the President of the United States stood before the American people and refused to condemn white supremacists and hate groups like those 2 Michigan militia groups. Stand back and stand by, he told them. Trump later lashed out at Whitmer in a late-night series of tweets, saying she was not appreciative enough. My Justice Department and federal law enforcement announced today that they foiled a dangerous plot against the governor of Michigan, he wrote. Rather than say thank you, she calls me a white supremacist. I should grab her by something. I don't know what, but you know what it is. If we want to talk to her about hatred, then Governor Whitmer, go look in the mirror, he said. The fact that she wakes up every day with such hatred in her heart towards President Trump, she should be grabbed. By what? You know what. Wow. So that's basically what went down. Now, I told you yesterday that I have some leaked footage of Mr. Steven Crowder giving a rally.
This bomb is mobile, and the identity of the triggerman is a mystery. For one of you holds the detonator. Now we come here not as conquerors, but as liberators to return control of this city to the people. And at the first sign of interference from the outside world, or from those people attempting to flee, this anonymous Gothamite, this unsung hero, will trigger the bomb.
Things get weirder than that, though.
Governor, any regrets from being on stage, sharing stage with the guy who's now being charged in a plot to kidnap the governor?
Well, it's just a charge, and they say a plot to kidnap. And you got to remember that, are they trying to kidnap? Because a lot of people are angry with the governor, and they want her arrested. So are they trying to arrest, or was it a kidnap attempt? Because
hey, really want to dress up for my next Proud Boys meeting. So hoping I could get one of those Punisher masks. Yeah, those Punisher masks are pretty badass. Did you have any? No, sir. We're all out of Punisher masks. We do have a couple. We have a couple Rorschach masks. Oh, from the Watchmen. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that has nothing to do with white nationalism, does it? That's not what that modern remake was about.
you can still, in Michigan, if it's a felony, you can make a felony arrest.
It's just a charge. By the way, that's the sheriff saying that he thinks they were just trying to make a citizen's arrest, so it's okay. So it's okay. I don't have to pull up the old Family Guy meme, but I'm pretty sure you understand what would happen if this entire thing had taken place and they happened to be anything other than pearly white, where like real pearly white, you know, like the pearl of the Orient white. That is absolutely okay then. Now it's totally fine. All right. So yeah, they're just trying to do a citizen's arrest. These are American heroes doing the American thing. You know, they're standing up.
So I spoke with Barry County Sheriff Darleaf, who does say he knows these guys. He, quote, has never had lunch with them or anything like that, but has ran into them at some of these rallies. He said they've always been nice and respectful to him, adding they deserve a fair trial.
Michael and William Null were among the first charged Thursday for their alleged roles in the plot to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. The brothers from Plainwell and Shelbyville are now charged with providing support for terroristic acts, on top of weapons charges. Their West
Shelbyville? Those guys suck.
Michigan homes raided Wednesday night.
Was able to hear them say, FBI, have a warrant for your arrest. Come out with your hands up.
A neighbor of William Null spoke with Fox 17 under the condition of anonymity. They witnessed the raid and were shocked hearing what it was related to.
I had heard that there was a lot of militia people. Their right to do so, but to the extent that we just found out last night, totally surprised about that.
The Null brothers had ties to militia groups and were frequently seen at local demonstrations, including at this rally in protest of Governor Whitmer's stay-at-home order held last May in Grand Rapids. You can see William Null on stage alongside Barry County Sheriff Dar Leaf, a guest speaker at the event. We spoke with Sheriff Leaf Thursday night.
Well, I haven't read everything up on it. I've got other duties to do. It wasn't our investigation. So I was shocked.
It's just so many things going on right now. I'm so tired. I'm so very tired. Okay, am I supposed to read up on every white nationalist militia that's trying to do terrorist plots? There's so many. You have no idea. There's thousands. Have you seen the DHS report? They're the biggest domestic terror threat, and I don't have time to check into all of them. Okay, some I assume are good people.
I did not see this coming with those guys, but still, we can't convict them in the news media here. They do have a right to a fair trial.
Leaf
Yeah, of
says
course.
he doesn't know of Null's
Yeah, of
alleged...
course. Yeah, of course. No, that's fair. I wonder if he's ever said the same thing about Black Lives Matter protesters, right? Every single time, or one of those Antifa. Is that what you call them? Those Antifa protesters? I'm sure he's like, well, come on, hey, let's not. We can't rush to judgment, everybody. All right, we need to understand. I mean, let's not have the press vilify them before they've stood a fair trial. Like, this is important.
involvement in the plot and doesn't have any regrets about sharing a stage with him.
They want her arrested. So are they trying to arrest, or was it a kidnap attempt? Because you can still, in Michigan, if it's a felony, you can make a felony arrest. I think it's MCL 764.4 or something like that.
Oh, okay. So again, it's going to be a citizen arrest. All right. I mean, hey, are you a God-fearing American? Do you want to protect your fellow citizens? Just arrest governors if you need to. Totally normal. Yeah. I mean, hey, who even needs democracy? Why do we have any kind of, democratic process? You goddamn unwashed masses. Just clean yourselves up and then go arrest a governor or two.
5, somewhere around there. And it doesn't say if you're an elected office that you're exempt from that arrest. So I have to look at it from that angle. And I'm hoping that's more what it is. In fact, these guys are innocent until proven guilty. So I'm not even sure if they had any part in it.
Of course. They're a couple of good old boys. Just a bunch of good old boys. Let freedom reign.
Portland DA rejects over 540 riot-related cases. Oh, so they're just going to keep rioting, huh? Yes. They've been rioting nonstop. It's been 133 days. The National Guard's been deployed in 2 different states and is on standby in 2 other states. Great. That's the results of a criminal justice system that will not enforce its own laws. Against one group of people, mind you. Because while the Portland DA is saying, if you are far left and you want to fight cops and do whatever, you're fine. Nobody's going to arrest you. But New York says, if you are an Orthodox Jewish person, then they're going to shut down your neighborhoods, chain your parks shut, and then Cuomo is going to say these clusters must be stamped out. Choose your words more carefully, Cuomo, because we can see what the left has been saying for quite some time. And I have some interesting questions for you. You see, when it comes to the Orthodox community in New York, and they're out protesting, what do we get? Build the...
Whoa, what is this? First off, yeah, in terms of this, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Thousands upon thousands of people have been arrested. Thousands. Yeah. Across the United States. Like tens of thousands of people have been arrested. It's in no way are they being like, yeah, you can go out there, you can burn down buildings and punch cops in the face. Yeah, that's A-okay. That's what the Portland DA is saying. No, that's quite a big problem. But, fun conflation.
All right. Good. Here's a story from the New York Times. FBI says Michigan anti-government group plotted to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Authorities charged 13 men, some of whom were accused of plotting to storm the state capitol building and planning to start a civil war. Sounds like Boogaloo Boys, but I don't think it was directly affiliated with anybody doing Boogaloo stuff. Storming the state capitol, instigating a civil war, abducting a sitting governor ahead of the presidential election. Those were among the plots described by federal and state officials in Michigan on Thursday as they announced terrorism, conspiracy, and weapons charges against 13 men. At least 6 of them, officials said, had hatched a detailed plan to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a Democrat who has become a focal point of anti-government views and anger over coronavirus control measures. The group that planned the kidnapping met repeatedly over the summer for firearms training and combat drills and practiced building explosives, the FBI said. Members also gathered several times to discuss the mission, including in the basement of a shop that was accessible only through a trap door under a rug. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Like a movie.
The trap door, not the weird, creepy terroristic meetings. I'd like a trap door like that. That'd be cool. The men.
Cool, bro. Cool story. Can you imagine if he was reading a story about ISIS? If he's reading about like some ISIS terrorist plot? Where it's like, yeah, they'd been planning to blow up the Pentagon. They'd been working on a series of explosive devices, and one of them had a trap door to access their secret lair. Whoa, cool. Yeah, that's cool. Not the whole blowing up the Pentagon thing, but the rest of it, pretty based, pretty damn based.
And spied on Miss Whitmer's vacation home in August. Wow. And September, even looking under a highway bridge for places they could place and detonate a bomb to distract authorities, the FBI said. They indicated that they wanted to take Miss Whitmer hostage before the election in November, and one man said they should take her to a secure location in Wisconsin for a trial. Richard J. Trask II, an FBI special agent, said in a criminal complaint. If their goal was to, make Donald Trump lose, this is, the best plan ever.
Yeah.
Mr. Trask said that one of those arrested had bought a taser for the mission last week, and that the men had been planning to buy explosives on Wednesday. Court records indicated that at least 5 of the men had been arrested on Wednesday in Ypsilanti, is that how you pronounce it, Michigan?
Yeah.
It was not immediately clear if the 6th man had been taken into custody. So the New York Times doesn't immediately say anything about right wing. I don't know if they go on to. I don't think they do. They just say anti-government. But immediately you're seeing all of these like lefty personalities saying like right-wing militias. The dude's not right-wing. Look at this. Here's the guy.
Lefty personalities. You mean all of mainstream media? The lefty personalities of CNN? Yeah, pretty far left. That, Jake Tapper. He's, yeah, Chris Wallace. God damn. Like, just straight up anarcho-syndicalist Chris Wallace.
I mean, he's got huge gauges in his ears, which is not really indicative of anything. But I will say it's not necessarily like a right-wing thing. Right-wingers tend to...
Are you fucking me? Is his entire debunk of this going to be on aesthetics? Is he just going to look... Well, I don't know much. I mean, in the background, there's a giant A. I see an A. Okay, that's the anarchist flag behind him. So, I mean, giant rings in his ears. I believe it was Thanos. Thanos from the Marvel universe. Some of you may be familiar with Thanos, who did the Thanos snap, and upon doing that, half of all life in the universe disappeared from existence. Now, I'm not saying that there's a correlation here. I'm just saying he may snap his fingers in this video. If we watch this video, he may snap. At which point, that could be a reference to Thanos. But let's see.
Be like stodgy suit wearing,
or rednecks.
Yeah, I guess you could see right-wing gauges and stuff. I'm not trying to discriminate against people with gauged ears or anything like that. But he's got a big anarchy flag behind him, or a big anarchy. Yeah, it's a flag. Mm-hmm. And so Robbie Starbuck tweeted, "This is a video of Brandon Caserta, one of the ringleaders of the group of men arrested for a plot where the group planned to kidnap Governor Whitmer. Caserta has an anarchist flag behind him. In a YouTube video, trashes police. He's not a Republican. He's an anarchist. What's the difference between him and Antifa if he's anti-cop?"
It's all aesthetics, all right? Just wait. Here it's coming. That Thanos snap. He's an anarchist.
Politics are a spectrum. It's not just Republicans and Democrats. I think this guy's probably an anarcho-capitalist, which is like a right-leaning...
But what does that mean, right?
Well, I don't know.
Learn these definitions. It's Wikipedia. 2 seconds of cursory research. Oh no, it's happened. Like, I should have predicted this. I was like, the fact that ANCAPs exist, that they even exist on the internet, that's going to be able to sully the word anarchist even more. Because anarchist is already associated with Joker and being Jokerfied, right? Like, let's watch everything burn, anarchy, here we go, into the streets, everybody, let's go, comrades. It has nothing to do with, like, Bakunin, Kropotkin talking about no unjust hierarchies, nothing about that. No, it's been sullied by that. And now the ANCAPs have taken the word. And these right-wing cartoon characters on the internet are going to have people like Tim Pool being like, well, yeah, they're all anarchists. Yeah, no, it's not a far-right ideology. No. It has the word anarchist. It's in the very start. Have you seen this?
That's the problem.
They're still pro-capitalism.
This dude's Antifa as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I get
even she gets it a little bit. And she's like, well, I mean, can we not do this? This is embarrassing to everyone. What are you doing, Tim? Like,
he's not literally Antifa. Like, he's not flying the anti-fascist action flag or anything like that. But what I mean to say is, if you take a dude who's wearing all black and says F the police and F the government, and then you put him next to an Antifa guy, they're both going to yell the same thing at the same time.
Right. So
I get it, but it's like, I understand he could be anarcho-capitalist, because we saw with a lot of these protests with Black Lives.
Is this why Short Fat Otaku and what's his face, Sargon of Akkad, have been tweeting at me that, like, we're going full fash? The socialist and the fascist once again have a love-hate relationship. It's been will they, won't they for over 100 years. Teehee. And then I was like, my dude, just read any history book. Any history book. Just please. Just one. Just one. Do you not understand this? Are you horseshoe theorying the fascists and the communists? Like, is that what's happening? What do you think happened in World War II? Like, holy shit. Who defeated the Nazis?
The Boogaloo boys were like, we agree with you, we're on your side. Like, the government is bad and it's broken. And they're like, all right, we agree. What's the difference? One of them has an American flag mask and the other doesn't.
Well, it's like how Cop Block used to be. Remember, they were run by like all those libertarians up in New Hampshire who were like anti-cop, but also pro-capitalism, and I don't know.
Yeah, and caps.
Yeah.
I guess we just
it's so confusing. It's just so hard to understand what exactly is happening here. It doesn't make sense. It's almost like there's all these well-armed, highly trained militias run by predominantly white people who want to hold up ethno-nationalism. Sometimes for the white race, but it can be for a lot of reasons. There's the Proud Boys, for example, who just want to uphold the powers of Western chauvinism. All right, so they can be a little bit more multicultural for that, even though they are obviously going to uphold white supremacy and the structures they're in. That's all a thing. Okay, that's all going to be a thing. It's confusing. It's hard, you know. It's so hard to know. Are these right wing ideologies? It has the word anarcho in it.
They're certainly not Trump supporters,
right?
And
certainly,
this is the problem with how the media operates. There's a really clear distinction for what like left wing is, right? If you say like what's far left, you have a general idea. It's Antifa, it's Black Lives Matter. They all agree with each other on most of their ideology. They agree with each other for the most part on economics. So when you say left wing, you're referring to like one large group of people. When they say right wing, I have no idea what that means. Is that like are Trump supporters right wing? The alt-right or right-wing, they disagree with the Trump supporters on like almost everything.
I think that there's, authoritarian and then more libertarian aspects of the right. I think that the right has a lot more difference of opinion and different ideas than the left does because they don't really accept other ideas. Whereas the right will be like, okay, well, we disagree with you on this, but we agree on this other thing. And
this is one of, if not the most popular conservative YouTube personality. Mr. Tim Pool and his channel. And this is what is being fed to the masses, and especially of the youth, right? Because it's the kids who are watching the YouTubes and the Twitch and all this kind of shit.
I don't think this is the kind of guy, this dude here with the anarchist flag behind him, who's going to be hanging out with Trump supporters.
Right. And they, like Governor Whitmer, immediately blamed Trump. She was like, this is Trump's fault or whatever. And I was like, these people are clearly not Trump supporters. Like,
so the right is meaningless.
Right.
And like if we're both left leaning and then you go further left, I'm all
decent.
of a sudden
Okay.
considered right because it's a relative function. So it's madness.
That doesn't mean anything.
I know.
So
left and right are like relative.
Could not agree more with Tim. This might be the most I agree with Tim of anything he's ever said. And by the way, what is this knockoff weed lord? Like, what the fuck? This is broke ass weed lord. Like, I'm sorry, this is scuffed weed lord. I'm not gonna stand here for it. What the fuck? What have you done?
Right wing means laissez-faire capitalist, and left wing means socialist.
Weed light.
And it's like, okay, so the alt-right isn't laissez-faire capitalist. They're actually kind of left on policy. Like didn't Richard Spencer talk about universal health care and stuff like that?
What are you doing? What are you doing? You are normalizing this shit.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and there's and then there's Cernovich too, because Cernovich has also talked about universal health care. So the right is meaningless.
Right.
It's like, Jesus Christ, the Nazis had a social health care program. That doesn't mean that it's suddenly like right-wing, far-right, left-wing ideology. All of these terms have no meaning now.
And like if we're both left leaning and then you go further left, I'm all of a sudden considered right because it's a relative function. So it's madness.
That doesn't mean anything.
that I could not agree more with that statement. That summarizes everything they've talked about so far. That doesn't mean anything. Those words are rendered utterly meaningless through this discussion.
So left and right are like relative to each other.
Well, definitely. If you're talking about like, this is the weird thing. If you're talking about left and right in the traditional sense, because it came from the French Revolution, you have the right, which are pro-status quo, traditional, like...
I'm sorry to interrupt. You're right. They sat in different areas of
the... So you had the right and the left. And the left were the revolutionaries, and the right were the keep it all the same, right? I think. They were like, keep it tradition, and
And to clarify...
I think... Fucking yes. The worst horseshoe theory I've ever heard. It's so ridiculous.
They sat in like, what was it, their parliament or whatever,
something like that,
and the people would sit on the right
I
side
guess,
of the
sure.
aisle and the left side of the aisle.
Yeah.
So the general idea is when someone says right wing, are they referring to like pro status quo versus pro revolution? In which case, this guy's pro-revolution. So he's certainly not right.
Yeah, he seems like a far left terrorist.
Yeah. The only reason they call him...
Yeah. Well, got him. Case closed. Your Honor, I rest my case. You rest your case. Oh, sorry, I thought that was a figure of speech. Case closed.
Right wing is because, well, they can't have it on their side, can they?
It's just like, it doesn't even seem far left. I say that and it just all of a sudden I'm like, well, but he seems like a far right terrorist. Is it just a big circle and you just keep going to the left and then you appear on the right and it's like, where?
He just unironically almost drew a horseshoe there. It's almost a circle, but it's like just at the very edge. There's a gap. It goes like this, and then there's a gap at the top, right? Is that what's happening?
And you just keep going to the left, and then you appear on the right, and it's like, where?
It's because there's no. It's because right wing doesn't mean anything.
It really doesn't.
None of this means anything anymore.
Well, they have in common that they both neither Antifa nor these groups, this group in particular, I think, neither one of them want much of the government to be involved. Like these guys, I think, went to the Open It Up rally or whatever. Yeah. Like they were very, very just broadly anti-government. I think that's something that you could look at more than even right or left to determine where somebody's going to fall along that side.
So you know how I was saying that they had this little commune that like Tim Pool bought this like, you know, mega mansion and they all live there together and they have the studio there and they all produce stuff. It's basically like a streamer house for conservatives. What do you think their dinner conversations are like? What's it like when the cameras are off? Because I assume they like to have fun, right? I assume they want to talk about things that aren't related to all of this. So what are they like?
I don't know what that would be considered, like the amount of control the government has over you.
Oh, dude. You know what, man? I understand this anger over tyranny and abuse of power. Gretchen Whitmer, the Supreme Court ruled against her, and they said that, you know, your lockdown's unconstitutional. And she said, so what? I'm going to do it anyway. And she said that she's going to wait out 21 days, which is the, like, allotted time. And then she's going to find other means to enforce her unconstitutional edict. Now, you're going to love this one. She said, just last week, the President of the United States stood before the American people and refused to condemn white supremacists and hate groups like these two Michigan militia groups. Ms. Whitmer said, there's no indication in the court documents that any of the men were inspired by the president. But Ms. Whitmer said extremists had heard the president's words, not as a rebuke, but as a rallying cry, as a call to action. I didn't realize that Trump, who has routinely condemned anarchists and said the violent anarchists must be arrested, was inspiring them, Gretchen. That's wonderful. That's the politics that we get.
He's been extremely outspoken about anarchists. I mean,
right.
It's
no shit. Yeah, no shit. How are you missing this?
He's a joke. I can't deal with her at all.
That's it. We have definitive proof. They were anarchists. Anarcho-capitalists are basically the exact same thing. If we look at the donut theory, or as I like to call it, the sphincter theory, the clenching sphincter theory, we can see that it forms a tight circle and that both ideologies are on the same. I mean, all extremes are on the same team, you know, at the end of the day. We've learned that as well.
People who are supporting Biden-Harris in Michigan now are what were once seen as Republicans. The Mitt Romneys. Let's be honest. Mitt Romney, I mean, he claims Massachusetts is from Michigan, and then he just spotted a seat in Utah and, you know, he got elected there because he was Mormon. Not to say anything against Mormons. I'm sure Mormons are just as disappointed with Romney as I am, but he specifically sought out a place where he could win a seat in Utah. But the Romneys and the Rick Snyders of the world, former Republican governor of Michigan, have endorsed Biden. He made a lot of his money, I believe, at Dell. So the rich elite are supporting Biden-Harris, and the working class in Michigan tend to be supporting Donald Trump. So there is a switching, which I think is pretty hard to monitor with the polls. And let me tell you this too. Something anecdotal, but you know, if I don't do a lot of press, and I did some more press for this Lansing rally because, you know, it was near and dear to my heart. I have a 97-year-old grandma.
I don't do a lot of press because they ask questions, and sometimes I don't have the answers ready, so it's a little complicated. This is him, by the way, you know, having freshly just masturbated to Mein Kampf a few times, getting right onto camera, shortly thereafter. I mean, most people like to have a little cigarette, but he just likes to turn on the camera and start spouting a whole bunch of gibberish. But anyways, when he came on, he wanted to record about the Michigan rally, which he, again, I showed you earlier, threw a little rally talking about how Whitmer is a bad dude. All right, she's the corn pop of the modern era. So that all happened, and right afterwards, of course, there was this terror plot, and we don't know the details yet. There's no way of knowing whether or not these terrorists were fans of, say, Tim Pool constantly calling for a civil war and saying how Whitmer was killing all the grandmothers, or possibly Mr. Steven Crowder, who again is holding rallies to strike fear in the hearts of the citizens
in Michigan. And by the way, hashtag Whitmer death toll. Let's send all of our Freedom of Information requests to Governor Whitmer to get those numbers.
Oh, wow. That was really good timing. Did not know that was going to happen right after I made that speech. Fantastic, though. Good. Yes. Hashtag Governor Whitmer death toll. Keep pushing that, because that's not scaring a bunch of people into thinking that she needs to be kidnapped. I'm sorry. Citizen arrested. Citizen arrested.
So we held this rally in Lansing. And I don't really like to talk about numbers so much, because we've seen so many conservatives and liberals who rise and fall by numbers. Look, we're the biggest show. Look at how many people are watching. Look at how great we are because of the polls, if you will. I think it's a metric that is important in that it sort of tells us how many lives we're affecting. But we could very easily make that the only metric and start affecting lives less. And let me explain what I mean. There have been opportunities, right, to syndicate the show, to get it out on cable, to change, in which case we have to change the dynamic of the show. Would we reach more people?
We'd have to change the dynamic of the show. Yeah. Can't quite do the same things we used to. Yeah. It's like, Spotify is being so restrictive over Mr. Joe Rogan, censoring his speech, all that kind of stuff. What'll happen to Steven Crowder if he's on there? Yeah. I just want to talk about how trans people are subhuman and they don't really deserve any rights. What's wrong with that?
Would we be able to make the same show? No, not at all. So I don't like to talk about numbers because I've had shows that have been really big or successful that I haven't necessarily been super happy with. And we've had small shows where I feel like we've really served you guys and Mug Club really well. But the Lansing rally happened, so I did a little bit more press, which is out of the ordinary for me because we don't really need to. We have enough of a platform. And we showed up and we did this Lansing rally and we gave out thousands of signs. And
Lance,
there was some coverage, and by the way, it was there was some coverage. Really vicious from M Live. It was like the biggest Michigan publication, I think.
She was in chat. The shoe.
The Lansing State Journal.
I haven't seen her.
And
fake news.
First off, it shows you how inconsistent the media. Like they just guess and they act as though they're authoritative.
I live 4 blocks from Lansing's capital. Rallies have been very small. We didn't even notice this one. No way he gave away 1,000 signs. His rally, I mean, I'm going to give him this because, he's all about the numbers. He's all about, who's got the higher number? Which, by the way, motherfucker, how was having less viewers than Hassan for the first debate? Hassan on Twitch, an infinitely smaller platform with less audience, and still smoked you. He had like 127,000 people watch him.
Again, not that the numbers themselves matter. What matters is that these are considered authoritative sources. Listen, the low end estimate was at least 2,500. The high end was 3,500. We had professional security there, and we have someone who specializes in sort of head counting, doing groups. And I can tell you this: we printed out 1,070 signs. I know that because the Whitmer death toll signs were 1,000. I think we had 70 Wuhan Whitmer. They were gone immediately, and we had
Wuhan Whitmer. Holy shit. Like, what a surprise. Like, who knew this would happen? It's so unusual that there's suddenly all these people deciding that they should take it upon themselves to do a citizen arrest. Yeah, it's strange. They're also afraid. I don't know why.
Far more people who complained that they didn't get signs than people who even picked up signs. So we know you can go watch the video, at least 3,000 people. But this is what happens, right? You can look at the reporting from this writer at M Live, and I don't say this for you to go and attack them on Twitter and like that. I don't really harbor any ill will. It's sort of like, listen, when a child is misbehaving, it's the parent's fault. When a journalist is doing what journalists do, it's the fault of the publications. It's the fault of the industry. We really wish that journalists weren't what they be, but they do. So you see this in the media, and they cover hundreds, and then one says 1,000. And it was about 3,000 something people. Well, why would they do that? And by the way, I've seen quite a few signs, the Whitmer death toll signs, go up in Michigan. So Michiganders out there continue posting it. They put that up there because they want to demoralize people and think, well, there really aren't enough people who are rallying against this tyrann, this little authoritarian that could, Governor Whitmer. You know.
Okay, hold on. Did he almost say Tyrannosaurus Rex? Did he almost call her Tyrannosaurus Rex? Was that? Oops, Freudian slip.
And by the way, I've seen quite a few signs, the Whitmer death toll signs, go up in Michigan. So Michiganders out there continue posting it. They put that up there because they want to demoralize people and think, well, there really aren't enough people who are rallying against this tyranny, this little authoritarian that could, Governor Whitmer. You know what? So just really stay home, because there's nothing going on here. There's nothing to see. So I will say this. I do think that, and this happens in my personal experience, and nearly every run-in we've had with media when they say they're looking to report on an issue, they're misleading. Right? They're just not telling you the truth. You saw that with the Austin Chronicle.
What is it about the fact that when we make every single right-wing conservative pundit drunk, all of their gibberish actually makes sense? Like, I was like, oh, that totally makes sense now. This is just like your drunk uncle at the dinner table. Now I understand it.
I can't remember all of them. I think it might have been a Washington Post article before.
Like, it's, little glass of shandy. It's like, I can't remember where I read it or anything. But trust me on this one. All right, trust me, son. If 13% of the population, 50% of all violent murders, 50% with 13% of the population. Just think about those numbers, son. Have you thought about those numbers? Hey, we want to mutual aid you to get some eyeballs on your work. So if you have a leftist YouTube channel or Twitch stream or something you want us to advertise, just send us a 20 to 30 second ad using the forums at weareserfs.com. We'll do our best to help you out. And please submit once per channel.
To our God, I'm Wrath. We pray at your altar of greatness. To our monarch, Thomas Bone, you are the light that guides our path. To our lords, Jeffrey Lamb, Trevor R., Stephen, Ninetails Cosmic Fox, Hans Josephine, and Poppy Nelson, we bow meekly for your pleasure. To our Knights of the Round Table, Josh Mickelson, Dylan Byth, Alexander Thaler, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, Todd Lajeunesse, Clement Chetska, Skybear Games, Moss Beast, Political Puppy, Ali Menthol, Jimmy Bignuts, Alan R., Andreas Chitoro, Good Poon Hates Cops, That's Solid Poon Then, Dr. Zayas, Joppy, Radiclu, Violent Orchard, and Sophie Baby, we salute you. And to our many merchants and farmers, thank you. Fuck you, Lance!